Hi there, I'm KP and I'm at my studio, The Moon and the Maker, and home of Rubber Moon Art Stamps. And I'm so excited to be here sharing this tutorial with you. Today I am going to make a little diptych, I don't even really know what I call it. It's a little diptych folding card with two mini canvases. And so for my project, I'm going to need two small mini canvases, although if you don't have little canvases like this, you can also, these are just flat panel canvas, and they're 4x4. If you don't have those, you can definitely use two pieces of mat board or some kind of like heavy cardboard or chipboard. But anyway, so you want them to be the same size. And then I have some cute washi tape. You can use decorative papers, or here I have a couple just random papers that I did using my jelly press. So I'm going to be using those, or you could use scrapbook paper or whatever. I have a couple stamps from Rubber Moon, but of course you can pick your favorite stamps. I have some permanent black ink or archival black ink. I'm going to be using a couple paint brushes. I'm going to be using my PVA glue, but of course you can use whatever glue that you like to use. And then just some random acrylic paints, whatever colors that you like. So I'm going to start by, I already had decided that I wanted to use these two stamps, which are from Rubber Moon, and they are designed by Mindy Lacefield. So I'm going to use those, and I'm going to take my two canvases, my two substrates. These, for some reason, happen to be a little bit off, like they're not perfectly the same size, but you know that's okay as long as you line up the bottom, because eventually when I'm done, I'm going to want to set it like so. Okay, so you can just sort of decide what you want, what papers that you want on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm going to mount directly onto my board. Excuse me. Oops, sorry. I'm going to turn these over. I'm going to do the backs first. And I think I'm going to use a piece of this and, let's see, a piece of this. And of course you could collage over the whole thing, but I'm just going to take my PVA glue, if I can get it open here. You know, I think that's why they make lids, but I admit I always lose my lids. So just need to have a pokey tool handy to open it up. I'm just going to put a big glob of glue on both of these backs. And I'm going to go ahead and smear that all over, because I want to cover this ugly side. It might be a little bit lumpy because it's not perfect the way that it's covered from the manufacturer, but that's okay. You just want a nice even coverage of glue all over the whole thing. You don't want it too thick, but you want a nice even coating. Always keep your baby wipes handy. And sorry for my bad manicure, but I've been working in paint all day, so first world problems. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this one, and I want to make sure to really get to my edges. So now I have both sides covered pretty well, and I'm just going to take my my jelly print paper, and again, this could easily be scrapbook paper, whatever you want, and I'm just going to place that right on there, and then I'm going to do the same thing to this second one here. I think I'm just going to go right underneath there and just go ahead and use this whole thing up. I don't care that it's kind of random. I think it'll be just fine. That's why they call it mixed media, right? So now I'm just going to go ahead and kind of trim up around here. I think I'm going to save this piece because I think I'm going to use it on the other side. I'm going to cut right down the middle. Okay, if it buckles a little bit, it's okay. You can always get like a little scraper, or you could get a little credit card and sort of just gently push out some of those air bubbles. But once it dries, it's generally just fine. So now the other thing I'm going to do, and I did forget to mention this tool during the when I was going over my supplies, but you're going to want a coarse nail file, okay? And I'm just going to take this nail file and I'm going to just file down and away from me. Okay, and this will give you nice edges on your canvases. It will just trim off your paper without having to cut it or measure it or anything. And it kind of gives a nice little seamless look. Okay, so now you have your two canvases, the backs all done. Or, well, I only have one. I'm doing the second one now. And actually, this file I've used it so much that a lot of the grit is gone, so it will help if it's a little bit coarser. It'll still work, but I just have to put a little more elbow grease into it. Guess it's time for some new nail files. Okay, so now the cool thing about this, even if you know, you were just going to paint these, this is a really nice way to finish off your backs. Especially, you know, if it's going to be in a frame or something, it doesn't matter. But if you were just going to set this into a little easel, or again use it as like a hanging or something like that, that's a great way to finish off your backs. So I'm going to do it like this. I want it to sort of line up on the back, so it'll be like that. Okay, so this is going to be my two pieces. So now you can just decide, you know, how you're going to kind of create on here. I want to go ahead and I think just paint my backgrounds really quickly using a little bit of acrylic paint, a few different colors. And you know, you just want to use what you like and what coordinates with the design that you're doing. So I'm going to use a little bit of this teal color here. And I'm just putting down a little bit of a base. You can mush it up and just make some fun, funky backgrounds. I can go ahead and even just squeeze a little bit of my paint right onto the surface. However you want to create your backgrounds is you know, is fine. Just have fun with it, and play around. You know, the nice thing is if you don't like it, you can always just cover over it or collage over it or whatever. I'm going to end up covering some of this anyway because I am going to put a little bit of collage on it before it's done. But if it's a little abstract-y, that's okay. Like I said, just have fun. And again, if you don't like something that you do, you can wipe it off with a baby wipe. You can gesso, use some white gesso over the top, whatever. It's kind of a free-for-all. And I want to go ahead, I'm just going to take a baby wipe and kind of smear it and mush the color around a little bit more just to finish getting that coverage on there that I want. Get those edges kind of covered. This one got a little bit muddy, so I'm going to let it dry and then go back over it a little bit. And like I said, some of it's going to be covered up anyway because I am going to do some collaging over the top. So you can kind of let that dry, or you can hit it with a blow dryer. I am going to just set those aside while I do some stamping. I think I'm going to stamp my Dreamer Girl. That's what she's called. I'm going to stamp her right on here. And I'm just using a black archival ink. Okay, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and take and stamp my saying right on here. Whoops, oh, I didn't do too well, so I guess I'm going to have to, I rocked a little bit and got a bad image, so that's too bad because I really wanted to use that. So I could either try to wipe that off. I'm not sure if that'll work though. Let's try something here. Always usually one way to skin a rabbit. Okay, so I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on my baby wipe, and this paper has been acrylic painted with using my jelly plate, so it was nice and dry. Okay, and I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on my baby wipe, and that took it away. So I'm going to dry it again, and then I can over stamp it again. So kind of nice. You get to see how I fix my mistake there, and hopefully I can do a better stamping this time. Much better. Okay, so And I'm glad because I really wanted to use this paper, although it probably wouldn't have mattered. I could have used a different paper, I guess. I'm just going to tear this right here. I'm going to wet the paper a little bit, and then hopefully it'll tear a little bit better because I don't want to. Oh, and here I am messing. Here I am messing it up again by touching all over it. Well, it'll be okay. Might want to let it dry before you touch all over it. You're just getting to see me make all kinds of mistakes. I'm just going to use up a couple of my other little pieces here and collage that right on there. Again, I'm going to use my PVA glue. Just going to get a nice coverage on here. Make sure to get my edges real well. Again, get your baby wipes handy. I go through a ton of these things. Get that on there, and let's set this up same way. I like it because it's all going to sort of coordinate with all the colors, and since I used, you know, pretty much the same bits of paper, it'll be different but the same. It won't be matchy-matchy, but it'll really coordinate and flow together. We'll have a cohesiveness about it. So missed a little spot right there, so let me make sure it's coated really well. You really just don't want it to peel up. And then when you're all the way done, you can always take a little bit of gel medium if you want and go over the whole thing, kind of like a varnish. You could even Mod Podge it if you wanted to. You could do the same thing on the back just to make sure that all your edges are nicely, you know, coated and you don't have any bits of paper coming up. And especially if you're going to give this as a gift, you're going to want it to, you know, be all put together. Now this, as you can see, when I got my smudgy fingers after I fixed it, and I got my smudgy fingers all over it, I smeared it a little bit again, so I'm just going to try to clean it up a little tiny bit. It'll be okay. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but all right. So now, oh, my fingers are so sticky. So now I can go in and I could color in, you know, paint in her face and her little top. I could just sort of manipulate this a little bit more. I could even use a little bit of colored pencils if I want to. Right now, I am going to paint over her face just a little bit using some white gesso. Oh no, wait, this is my white gesso. I don't mind having some of this texture show through, or some of these other paint colors and textures showing through on her face, but I don't want it to be so strong. I want it to be a little more subtle, so I am going to just paint over using a little bit of white gesso and probably a few other colors to sort of blend. And I think I have a little air bubble, so I'm going to take this piece of paper and just push it down right there. Now I know that I smoothed this out pretty well, but I'm seeing some air bubbles again. So again, I'm just going to take another piece of dry paper and just push some of those bubbles out. Okay. And I think I want to give her some hot pink hair. So again, you just want to play with this and use the colors that inspire you, or the color scheme that you like to use. I'm just having a little fun with it. I want it to be pretty loose and just bright. Pretty much going to use the colors that I have out on my palette. I might bring in a little bit of a flesh tone, or like a peachy flesh tone, but right now I'm just using the turquoise that I already had pulled out. Again, excuse me. Again, if you like to use colored pencils, as long as your acrylic is dry, you could also do colored pencil work on this. That would be great. And actually, even though these colors I thought got a little bit muddied, now that this is all kind of put together, it's pretty good. I'm not too worried about it. It doesn't look bad. I'm just gonna Oops, I seem to be drifting away over on my table here. Let me pull it back here a little bit. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of this light portrait pink. And I'm sorry, but mine's kind of dried up. I'm I'm just going to get what I can with a little bit of water on here. I just ordered a new bottle of this, so don't do what I do. I thought there was still some down in there, and there is. There's just enough to sort of pull in a little bit of color, which is all I really need. Went back over it with just a little bit of white gesso. Gonna do her nose, a little bit of highlight on the nose, a little bit of highlight on the eyelids. And on her big, lovable forehead. Couple little dots in the whites of the eyes. A little bit of highlight on her bottom lip. I can't really get any more out of this. It's pretty dry, so I'm just mixing up a little bit of that hot pink with some of my white gesso, and I'm gonna use a little bit on her face here. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. And so now I'm going to let it dry for a couple minutes. Actually, I'll hit it with my blow dryer again just so I can move the process along. I'm going to take a little bit smaller brush and maybe go over here and go into some of the letters and just paint in a few of the letters just for fun, just to give them a more whimsical quality. Maybe some of that teal, a little bit of the hot pink. And then maybe a little bit of the limey green. And I think that makes it look pretty cute. And now I think we're just going to put it together using a little bit of this washi tape here. And you know, you might want to just get some cute washi tape that you like. I don't know for sure if this is the perfect match or not, but I think it'll work pretty well. I'm just going to go all the way around here. And voila, you have yourself such a cute little fold over card. You could even add like a little pocket here if you wanted to and put something in it. Definitely you might want to go over it again, like I said, with a little bit of Mod Podge or some gel medium, but you have just the cutest little you know, card, basically, little diptych card made out of canvas, and you can set it up on a shelf, give it as a gift. Now you might want to use a little bit wider of washi tape, although this is fine, but you see what it did here, so I'm going to actually go around it another time or two. And the last card I did, I had a little bit wider of a tape, but this will be fine. And I like this pattern because it is easy to hide any little mistakes, or it doesn't have to be perfectly matched up, and the colors go great with my patterns and colors that I chose. So I'm gonna make it a little bit thicker. All right. And you could even put like a little message or something on the front, you know, take another little piece of your scrap paper or your jelly, sorry, I keep losing track of what I'm saying, but your jelly print paper, and put that on there with maybe a little greeting or a little word or saying. Let me see what other kind of little words or sayings I have that would be cute. How about dreamer? I think that would be really cute. I have this other stamp that has a lot of words on it. So I might be able to just see, what does it say? Yeah, dreamer actually would be perfect. So, you know, whatever you want, just whatever will work. Ta-da! There you go. Cute little canvas card / diptych. Thanks so much for inviting me to Split Coast Stampers. It's been really fun, and I hope to see you again.